A lot of times schools overdo the outside stuff, the locker rooms, the lazy rivers, all of the extras where it is the intrinsic relationship and the why behind the what that really excels student athletes in particular, to do well in both. Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and this is a special Find a Balance Friday edition with the athletic director at a place very close to me, Hood College in Frederick, Maryland, Dr. Susan Kolb. Is that correct? Did I pronounce that correct?
You said it correctly.
All right. Dr. Kolb, thank you so much for giving us time on the OCP. Let me give you a little bit of background, audience. She took over as Hood College's athletic director in 2018, and I have been gone. So oftentimes when I'm on campus, I always have to say hi. I'm not a strange person. I was here for 8 years, but you came to Hood after spending some time at the University of South Carolina Upstate. Can you give our audience some background on just your travel to get to that piece at Hood? Because there's a lot of similarities between our careers in terms of working with student athletes.
Yeah, well, thanks, Dr. Adams. I appreciate the invitation to speak with you today. And anytime that I can help others get to a career in athletics, I certainly want to try to do that. So thanks for having me. I would say that my journey is pretty typical of what one might assume are the steps to take to getting to this place. Fortunately, I've just been blessed with some awesome mentors and some great opportunities that fell in my lap, and that paired with a lot of hard work. I think that I took more of a traditional route. I was a three-sport athlete in high school. I was recruited to play soccer, basketball, and softball, decided to go with soccer. I went to Davis and Elkins College, and coming from a very small high school, I still missed the other sports that I played. So I asked my soccer coach if I could walk onto the softball team. He, I think, reluctantly agreed, but I was able to do that. And then my last year, I was able, after my soccer season was over, I was able to walk onto the ski team. So finished with a lot of experience in my undergrad at Davis and Elkins College, playing as many sports as I possibly could. I graduated in 2009, and even though I come from a long line of educators from my family, we were still in the recession, and there was just not many teaching jobs open. So a friend of mine recommended that I was a graduate assistant and that I get into coaching. So I did that. I didn't think I wanted to get my master's right away, but I thought, you know what, why not? This sounds like a great opportunity. Was able to go to Bluffton University in Ohio, and I was there for a year and a half. I graduated a little bit early because I knew very quickly that I wanted to continue into coaching. It's so similar to teaching, and it allowed me to still stay so connected to the most nearest and dearest thing at that time to my heart, which was sports. So I graduated early. I knew that the head coaches would be changing after the soccer season. So I wanted to finish my master's degree in December, which is when I knew there would be a lot of openings. So I did that. I was able to secure a head coaching position at Eastern Mennonite University. I took that position. I was probably one of the youngest coaches in the country. I was 23 years old. Looking back, there would be a lot of things that I would change, but 23 years old, I did the very best that I could. I was there for 3 years, and during that time, I became an assistant athletic director and senior women's administrator. And I was fortunate to get the Women and Ethnic Minority Grant by the NCAA, which is a great opportunity for schools to apply for that grant. We fortunately have had that same grant here at Hood, but just to try to advance more women and more ethnic minorities into these roles that are so pivotal for just representation for our student athletes. So was there, After 3 years, really had a desire to try Division One, and so I took a position as an academic advisor at George Mason University. And truthfully, that wasn't a good fit for me. I did not enjoy living in DC, and decided I liked what I was doing, but not necessarily there. And I had some family in the Carolinas, so I took the position at Upstate, USC Upstate. And fortunately, I was given a lot of responsibility and opportunities there to just ask how I can get involved. I had athletic directors there that asked me, what's the end goal for you? What do you want to do? And they were willing to give me anything that I was willing to take. And I am so grateful for those opportunities to just gain experience, even though it wasn't in the job description, even though I wasn't getting paid to do it. These were things that I knew I needed to learn in order to get this position here at Hood, and finished all the while. It took me 7 years to get my PhD in athletic administration, because I was working full time and still coaching on the side and then doing my doctorate. But that all kind of came together. So at the end of 2018, I had graduated with my doctorate, and I started applying for athletic director positions. And Hood was just a great opportunity. I had coached against Hood when I was at EMU. I grew up about 2 hours west of Frederick, so I knew the area pretty well. It was a great opportunity, great conference. It was interesting when I applied for the position. I came for my interview, and things were so good at USC Upstate. I loved, the people that I worked with. I loved the school. I loved the area. I loved Division One. But when I came for my interview, when I first stepped on campus, it felt like I was betraying Upstate. But by the end of the day, I was like, if I don't get this position, I'll be really upset. And so I was blessed with the opportunity to come here and take over for Tom Dickman, which were huge shoes to fill. He's a legend in this area, and his son is still here as our coach. And so I knew that would be hard coming in after him, but he was awesome as a mentor with the transition, and just try to keep things moving in the right direction since then.
Oh, and you and I, again, have never had this conversation, but kind of felt the same way in 2005. I was interviewed for an assistant coaching job, and we met in the student center, and within 5 minutes, I was home. And Hood is still home, and we definitely appreciate you giving us this time. So in segment 2, fans, when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about my research and get Dr. Kolb's thoughts on it, and we'll be right back on the Odd Coaches podcast.
The high school and college academic and athletic landscape is changing. The growing number of college transfers, as well as student athletes being able to profit off the use of their name, image, and likeness, has given student athletes the freedom and power to make life-changing decisions. That is why it is important for student athletes to be properly informed throughout the decision-making process. The difference between success and failure is often measured not by yards, but by inches, and even the most successful coaches and players use outside independent consultants to help improve their decision-making, which improves their results. That is what the CKA SAVE project would like to do for student athletes across the country, improve their academic and athletic results. Our academic and athletic consulting services assist student athletes with the college decision-making process. The CKA team of former high school and college coaches can provide student athletes an independent assessment of their academic and athletic skills to assist student athletes in their college decision-making process. Let the CKA team evaluate your academic and athletic ability to assist you in finding the right fit for your academic and athletic career. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free virtual consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches podcast in segment 2. I am fortunate enough to have the opportunity to kind of gain Dr. Kolb's insights into my doctoral research, which was on Division I student athlete motivation. So for my audience, in a nutshell, my research was on Division I student athlete motivation in terms of, is there a relationship between academic and athletic intrinsic extrinsic and a motivation. And what that means is intrinsic motivation is you doing something because you internally care about it. Extrinsic is you're doing something because of some outside result. And a motivation is I don't know why I do or don't do. And what I found was that there is a statistically significant relationship between academic and athletic intrinsic motivation, and not a big relationship between extrinsic and a motivation. And what that means to the audience in an elevator speech is a lot of times schools overdo the outside stuff, the locker rooms, the lazy rivers, all of the extras where it is the intrinsic relationship and the why behind the what that really excel student athletes in particular, to do well in both. Dr. Kolb, you are in the belly of the beast on a daily day basis. I think Hood has over 19 sports, if I'm not mistaken. Any thoughts that you have about that relationship between academic and athletic motivation? And please go in any direction you would like to.
Yeah, I would absolutely say that some of our best students are also some of our best athletes. I think they have learned at a young age what it takes to be successful, and whatever it is that they want to be successful at is up to them. So I'm not surprised to hear that your findings were that the intrinsic motivation between the academic side and the athletic side is more powerful than maybe the extrinsic. But I think the extrinsic motivation, it's not that schools are trying to motivate their athletes with all of these extras. I think that schools are just trying to keep up with the Joneses. I think when one school provides, you know, the newest gear, the next school wants to. When this school adds a new position, like a sports psychologist or whatever that might be, then this school wants to. And I think so often where the world we're living in comes down to the recruiting piece with this extrinsic motivation. And I'm not sure it's all geared towards making the athletes better and the coaches thinking that that's what they need, as much as it is to how am I going to get that best athlete to come to me and stand out from the next school. Certainly do I think that the best gear and the best equipment and the sports psychologists and the protein shakes and you look at Division I, you go down to Clemson and they have a learning center for their football team that has a barber shop and a bowling alley and volleyball court and a slide to get from level 1 to level 2. Is that going to make the athletes better? I'm not sure, but that's probably going to be flashy to get some of the best recruits to go to their school. But yeah, you hit on it. The landscape is changing, and certainly we're all, even at Division III, are trying to stand out to our competitors. And so the intrinsic motivation, I think that's where you're going to see those athletes make the most difference. If they are motivated by the extrinsic, it's hard to keep up with that. But I think your best athletes are going to be intrinsically motivated. It's hard to teach that. It's hard to coach that. It's hard to bring that out in someone if it's not there. Certainly we do our best at trying to create that, but that's where we do fortunately have a sports psychologist that works with our athletes and does talk about motivation. And, he's definitely more educated on how to bring that out in our athletes than I am, but that is something that I think every coach hopes that their athletes bring with them on the first day of the season.
Yes, and fans, by no means are we saying don't have nice things. I was at Hood College when we played at a high school gym, and it was a goal of our former president, Dr. Volpe, as well as our staff, to build a facility that really could bring the community together and yes, have nice things and all of that. But for us, and we're very proud of this, and I talked about it in the Find the Balance book, we had a 90% college graduation rate. That's what we hung our hat on. So when we went to a parent, to a school, to a high school, to a coach, and said, at Hood, you're going to, within 4 years, get a degree and play a high level of basketball and be a part of a community that cares. So to see a guy like Brendan Strawn, who played at Hood 4 years, is littered all over the record books, go through his college coaching aspirations and so forth, and end up at Syracuse using a lot of things that we simply did at Hood in terms of just treating you well. It kind of makes us feel pretty special because Hood is a special place. And again, thank you so much for that commentary. And in segment 3, folks, we get to share some Hood stories as well as get some advice from the athletic director. We'll be right back on the iCoaches podcast.
Why should student athletes use the CKA SAVE Project academic and athletic consulting services? Over the past 15 to 20 years, colleges, universities, professional sports teams, business organizations, and others have increased their use of consulting services to improve their decision-making processes and results. Over the same time, the athletic and academic landscape has changed for high school and college student athletes as the NCAA has raised initial academic eligibility requirements for student athletes while decreasing the number of transfer restrictions. Former college student athletes have noted that they were academic and athletically unprepared for the rigors of college. Let the CKA SAVE Project's close to 30 years of academic and athletic experience help guide student athletes to increase success as we work to help student athletes achieve the goal of obtaining a college degree. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches podcast in segment 3. Doc, can you share your thoughts on the current state of college athletics? It's crazy out there, and you're on the Division III level, which is near and dear to my heart. But what's it like out there now?
Well, things have certainly changed since even I played in college, and I think some things have changed for the better. I think some things have changed so quickly that people are still trying to catch up with what does this really mean. Mostly what I'm referring to as NIL. I think that we're finding it's impacting us a little bit at Division III, but my colleagues still in Division I are really trying to still grasp what this means. They're hiring positions just to keep track of the NIL contracts. And what I know that the intention around it is just to create a fair opportunity for student athletes to benefit from their name, image, and likeness, just as a musician would or an artist would. But some of the negative sides of NIL, I see, you want your student athletes to come to the school for the academics, the program, the coach, the team, the culture. And we're seeing that students are choosing because of the NIL agreements or contracts that are being proposed to them at the time of recruitment. And, to me, that takes away from a lot of the pureness of what sports should be about. Again, it hasn't trickled down too much to Division III, where recruits are making decisions based off of NIL, but we certainly do have some of our student athletes that have NIL agreements, and it's usually in the form of goods, free pizza every now and then, or a free polo here or there if they post on a company's site for that. And I welcome those opportunities for our student athletes. It's just when it changes, the landscape of a recruit now isn't going to come to Hood because another competitor is offering them an NIL agreement. So, we already have competition with students within our region, within the conference, based off of the packages that we give for Division III. Of course, we don't give financial aid for athletic scholarships in Division III. So we're already trying to compete against other schools to get them to come here and hope that our tuition would be about the same, but then you throw an NIL agreement on top of that, and it just complicates things. So the landscape is changing. A positive, I would say, though, we're up to 25 sports at Hood. We just added women's ice hockey. And so they're going to be starting in 24, 25. And we are trying to grow not only in size with our department, as we know that our student athletes are graduating at a higher rate, we're retaining at a higher rate, our GPAs are typically higher. And so it's best for the college that we do continue to add more numbers through athletics, but also we're adding more numbers of women getting involved. So we're adding more female sports as well. So we're trying to make sure that we're equitable and fair with what we offer. We're trying to provide them the best experience possible. We're in the middle of our next strategic plan. This is year one of this next strategic plan. And it's very exciting for us, specifically at Hood, where we are looking at our facilities. We're trying to make improvements with our facilities, our sport offerings, our positions, our academic offerings. So there's a lot of positive irons in the fire that we have going on here that I couldn't be more excited to be a part of. So that's specifically at Hood. But I think that there's a lot of schools that are using athletics to continue to grow higher ed. I think we all had to realize COVID changed a lot of things for all of us and really put things into perspective. I think that there's some students realizing that higher ed maybe isn't for them. And however, if they want to continue playing sports in America after high school, that's really the one opportunity that you can still do that. So there's a lot that's changing. It's changing very quickly, but I couldn't be more excited to be a part of Hood Athletics and keep up with this landscape. So.
All right. So can you share with our listeners your social media handles for Hood so they can follow along with this strategic plan? And I know many alum for my 8 years there will listen to this. This is also an opportunity for them to reach out and maybe be of some assistance. Please, my super producer Kelly will put everything up on the screen for you.
Yeah, so we are Hood Blazers. That is our Twitter, that's our Instagram, that is our Facebook. And follow us. That is our general athletic department handles, but each team, each program has their own also. So, Hood lacrosse, Hood volleyball. So each team has that as well. Would love for anyone to come out to games. All of our games are free except for basketball. We do charge $5 for adults, $2 for kids, and under 6 are free. And we also offer a ton of sport camps over the summer. So if you have little ones that want to come check out the campus, check out our coaches and our camps, go to our website, hoodathletics.com, and you'll see on our website that we are offering a lot of sport camps. So just wanted to give everyone a shout out for that as well, and would love to have you on campus.
Right. So again, Dr. Kolb, thank you so much for giving our audience time, giving us some time. And on behalf of my tag team partner, Coach Mike Francis, I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the Odd Coaches podcast. And we will see you on the sidelines. Till next time, take care and go Blazers.
The Odd Coaches podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org. We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach Franchize. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches podcast.